Hello, hi, how are you? Thank you so very much for tuning into my channel. I'm Heidi Pop. I love having conversations with way showers who are walking the walk and talking the talk and being the solution out there. I'm super excited today. This has been a long time in the making, but this is my fourth episode with my good friend Amie Chilson of Adventures with Amie. And we are kicking this off. This is going to be intense, and this is for everyone. Our last episode, which can be found on Rumble and YouTube and Facebook Live events, was Adventures in Awakening. And this is going to be a part two because it's Adventures in Awakening, being a guardian, which is everybody. And so I want to welcome, hello, Amie Chilson. How are you?
Hi, Heidi. Grand rising to you. I'm so
Grand
excited
Rising.
we're doing this theme together.
This has been in the works for some
Mhm.
time. And then, I mean, we've had tech issues, we've had what days to shoot and emotional issues and
Ascension
energetic
symptoms.
ascension symptoms. Like we tried before and we're like, we're not in alignment. I'm not feeling it. And we are really serious about this topic. I think that's what it's all about. Um, yeah. So I'm excited to dive into this with you. Why do you think awakening and being a guardian is for every single person out there? What is your thoughts on being a guardian?
Well, first off, I want to commend you and us for taking on such an important and vital topic. It takes courage because both you and I, and a lot of other people out there sharing this type of information, have received a lot of hate and trolls and ridicule, been hit by bot farms, all of that. And so we're still using our voices courageously to get this message out. And I think that's really important because there's a lot of people still being silent right now. So to stand up and use your voice, especially when it comes to the children, is extremely vital right now.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
very much
I
so.
very much so. And there are, well, when it comes to children, you said, why is everyone a guardian and why is that important to talk about? Well, if we look at our planet as in oneness, like we are the global village all working together to raise the children. Each child is so precious and important. And if you can come from it from a oneness point of view, and I like the it takes the village to raise a child point of view. And there's been so many, I'll use Dolores Cannon as an example. We've talked about her many times on your show for Awakening and the QHHT, the quantum healing hypnosis technique. And she's talked about going back into some past lives with people who remember, maybe it was Native American, this one story, Legend of Star Crash, where she got to hear firsthand how that village operated. The younger teens and early 20s would be the procreators, they would have the children, and then all the elders would come in and raise the children together as a group.
Mm.
And I thought, that's missing a lot in our society now, especially in the Western culture. And obviously, the parental unit is the most important to the children. However, you've got the aunties and the uncles, the godparents, the grandparents, maybe even the great grandparents. So it is that village type all stepping in to help raise and guide and guard.
Yes. I mean, neighbors, educators. I mean, we're all around a child in some sense. We have some in a neighborhood somewhere,
Mhm.
out at the store, out on your errands. You might come across and encounter a child. And if you are able to energetically lift that child, you're doing really good work. So I think that's huge. So with that being said, the importance of it all is because we're shifting the planet right now. We
Mhm.
are shifting, and the highest, most purest frequency out there are our children. That's why they're number one commodity out there, and that's why we have an intergalactic slave trade system, and we have all the dark stuff. So we have to protect them. We have to protect that light and that frequency and that energy because they will shift. One child will shift as many as a few adults. You know what I mean? Like they're potent, they're pure, and they need to be protected.
Yes.
Um,
And
yeah.
there's so many star seeds coming in right now, too.
Yeah, very much so.
Mhm.
How is it you are finding yourself as an auntie? What kind of mission have you stepped in that sense? What are you doing with your niece and nephew and the children around in your neck of the woods. How do you find yourself being a guardian?
Well, first off, I would say, even though I've chosen not to procreate in this lifetime, I love children so much. And I love being a teacher. It's something that's come innate for me, whether I was a teenager teaching in summer camp or a swimming instructor. I loved the rambunctious energy of little children, usually the age group around 5 or 6, where many teachers were like, "Oh, you can have that group, Amie."
Yeah, that was
Especially the little boys, right? Rambunctious and crazy energy. And I loved that age group as a teacher, as an instructor, because I knew how to channel it in the right directions. I knew how to encourage it. There's so many children that have, especially little boys, have so much energy, and they're told, to sit in their desk and just stay there, and they're not given the opportunity to express themselves, their gifts, their energy. And so being able to be here as an auntie for 3 young boys, that are in that age group or have just gone through it, it's been able for me to tap back into when I was a instructor or a summer camp instructor, and use those tools and experience that I remembered worked so great with those little boys. And the parents would love it after summer camp or swimming, because the kids would have had so much fun, this bright eyes, and they would be tuckered out. And so the parents were like, "Thank you, Amie, whatever you did." and and seeing that and being able to encourage that in the young children, especially my niece and nephews, giving them the stimulation outside Mother Nature. We talk about that a lot, about being able to ground and earth and really play. Children know if you're faking it or not. And
Yes.
so it's important for us to be present. We've spoken about that before, when we teach, when we are playing with them. And one of the things that we like to do here, I'll talk about being an auntie and helping them grow and learn and evolve to the best versions of self that they can become, is giving them that extra stimulation to think, to learn to collaborate, teamwork, to use their voice. And some of the ways we've done that here in Wisconsin is very elaborate treasure hunts outside with the neighborhood kids.
Cool. Yeah.
And we get the neighborhood kids involved, and they love it. And so there's quite a few of them, and they know Auntie Amie is famous for the treasure hunts and the egg hunts. And now we've started escape rooms in the house as well. And they've learned basic gematria, which is great, and team building skills, obviously using some trivia, and really, I would say, challenging their minds in different ways, and doing it in a way that's full of play and fun, because through neuroscience, that's really how we create those new neural synaptic connections, is through play versus the rote routine and repetition.
Yes, that was really it. And I loved how you said they can sense when you're faking it. So it's so important. That's what's so beautiful is all of us as way showers and guardians, we all come with a different set of skill sets and a different set of passions. So if we are focused on that, doing what we love, then they in turn will pick up on it, and that's the way you can teach it. You're doing what you love. If you're not into painting, then they're going to pick up on that. So you find a painter guardian that can do that with them. I'm saying this because I'm lead educator for 3rd grade, and I have some weaknesses and they know it. Miss Heidi, you're not very good at this, are you? Like when it comes to I'm trying to figure out. I was a studio art minor, but doing chalk drawings is a whole new world for me, and it's very, Waldorfy. People know how to do that, so I'm new to that, and they're always like, "Hmm, hmm." They're critiquing my work, and I love it. But you get me out there with an active game or singing a song, they're like, "Yes, she's on fire," or building a fort. So they're going to help guide people into their passionate selves too.
Mhm. Also, you can laugh about yourself. So they're watching you, they're
Mhm.
perceiving you as an example in everything that you're doing. They're
Yes,
all perceiving us in every day, and they're so sharp and smart. And
They're
so
so
when, as an example, living publicly, these children are watching us, and to remember that in all that we do,
yeah.
to once again, we're teaching through our example. And so you can laugh at yourself, right? When you're not so good at chalk art. For me as an auntie, maybe it's something in yard work or cleaning or whatever the case may be. I say I'm working on my patience. And so I remember that when children are watching.
The patience is key.
Mhm.
Well, I love that. I think that's beautiful. I have had these moments of guardianship where, like when we have turbulent times and the adults are just wearing the current events on their sleeve. Like
Mm,
they're just like, oh, and dark. And when you're in that mode, you wind up snapping at somebody. But I remember being out and about in the stores and you see children with their parents or with family members that are in that low state. Just
yes.
being in line with them and looking at them and being able to lift them up a little bit will help them traverse this darkness at home that they're going through. They might be getting exposed to things that they don't need to be exposed to at that time. So it's like we all play a part. We all just the random chance happenings, amazing things can happen in those moments.
Mhm.
And I've been in them and I've seen it. So, and I've seen others do it too. So with that, I'm just another gentle reminder, you don't have to have children or be a
Right.
teacher to be around kids.
I'm
Um,
so glad you said that. And that is true. We can, out in public, we can inspire children through our energy, through our smiles, even, a kind word here and there, especially since we don't know their environment at home. Additionally, I know this is a little bit heavier of a topic. You reminded me of this video that I see circulating right now about a social experiment about people in public. And these could be complete strangers that have no attachments to these children. Maybe they don't have children themselves. Maybe they don't want to. However, you see their protective nature, their guardianship kick in
mm,
this social experiment video series where it's a young child sitting by themselves on a park bench and some person comes up. This is all planted. So it's,
oh,
it's there
okay.
for the experiment itself to
Mm.
see how the strangers are going to react. And a stranger, like a strange man, would come to the girl and say, "Hey, do you want some ice cream? Come with me." Or "I know your mom." Like lies. And then the strangers watching in all of the videos, they responded and they said they stood up for the kids. "Do you know this person? Is this your friend? You know, I don't think this is good." And some of them actually would move the children away or even physically defend
Ooh,
against the person if they were becoming aggressive. And
ah,
these
yes.
are strangers acting with that, I would say, that mama bear or papa bear energy. Because when it comes to children, like there's just some things that are hallow, that are sacred. And to protect the children and tap into that mama bear energy, I'm not a parent, but that mama bear fierceness is within me. And what I would do to protect children, even if it's someone in public that I don't know, or behind closed doors coming into a situation like that. And it's a reminder to everyone to not live in fear, however live in a state of heightened awareness for the sake of children.
Mm. And be so cleaned out and prepared and connected to source that you can pick up on it.
Mhm.
Your energy field gets triggered and you're like, something's not right here. You can sense it. Yeah. But you have to be in that right state of mind yourself. So that's why it's imperative we all do that work. We heal our inner child, we work on our trauma work and shadow self, and we do all that stuff so that we can be better guardians out on the streets. Yeah. I haven't seen that video series, but I think it's phenomenal because I remember being a child of the 70s, 80s, and 90s and all the date lines and, the kidnapping was a big to do. And I'd been followed home myself once
Mm,
before from school. I'll never forget it. A little white VW bug. And I wound up, I mean, all that was in me, which means all of my teams and guides too.
yeah.
I just went, "Phew," and I walked into someone's house I never knew. And I'm just like, "Can you call my mom? Someone's following me." Like it
Mhm,
was in me, and I had never heard of these stories before. So trusting yourself and trusting that intuition and inner guidance is huge.
mhm.
And teaching kids to do that. Yeah.
Oh, you said it perfectly. You took the
Yeah.
words out of my mouth, Heidi. we talk about, we'll probably end this recording on love. We seem to end on love, self-love. One of the things that I wanted to talk about is being the example to children, and also teaching them to learn how to trust their instincts is so important right now.
Mhm.
Not from fear, but heightened awareness to really trust their instincts. And I think that that also comes with us being the example of trusting our own instincts in front of children, and also trusting them when they tell us things and not discounting them because they're children.
Yeah, yeah. I love that. You trusting it all. And then being an educator, that's why I find it so important to work on the light within them, but also to find what their skill set is, because it will empower them and build confidence. Because not every child is built the same way. They all have the love meter, and we all come from pure love, but they do come in with incredible star knowledge and different skill
Mhm.
sets. So if you can identify those early on and encourage them to build this set of skill sets, they
Yes.
will totally feel their power and what they can do, which will empower them to listen to their instinct. So it is all about. When I was posting about starting the school year, I was like, I'm ready to polish off their star knowledge,
Yes.
because whether they're aware of it or not, whether their
Mhm.
parents or families are aware of them with this or not, they have it.
Mhm.
And no, being an educator, you can try to pull that out of them and polish it off a little bit.
Polish, enhance, encourage.
Encourage.
One of my youngest nephew, I call him Super J. His name's Jonathan, and I encourage and tell my nephews, you are all superheroes, because I think it's so important for children to have a healthy self-worth and confidence in themselves, because many adults now, unbeknownst to them in their childhood, they've probably taken this negative belief program. Something happened, an event in their life where they were told they're not good enough, they're not enough, and they didn't know how to release that and resolve that. Maybe they weren't, you know, shown their worth, and it was they carried that burden with them all through life, and they haven't resolved it. So for children now, it's so important for us to love them for who they are, like you said, their star knowledge, what they're coming in with, their special gifts, and to encourage the fact that they are little superheroes. This is
Mhm.
a soul just like yours and mine that's in a young body. And we have to
Mhm.
remember that as well.
Mhm.
This soul could be far more ancient than us,
Oh, yeah.
had more life experience, more
Mhm.
superpowers, and
Yes.
to not discount them because they're in an immature body right now. I have telepathic conversations with children and babies all the time, and I remember that as I'm speaking to them. Who is this soul that just came in this brand new physical vessel? This could be some ancient soul, some ascended master. We have no idea.
Mhm.
And in my whole life, Heidi, it's been so interesting, this connection with children and babies, even animals. I've noticed they all gravitate toward me. They come to me, even just little children out in public, and their parents say, my kids never do that. Like, I'm sorry. I'm like, no, it's okay. I love it. Does that happen to you?
Yes, same, and that's the vibration. That's
Hmm.
us emitting our light, and I'm glad you're doing this because it could pivot a little dark in this next question, kind of, but we should tap into the fact that because they are vibrating so high, because they're coming in with ancient knowledge that will help our planet shift,
Hmm.
they're targets in the multidimensional realm. And I think that doesn't get talked enough about. Like, they are targets with different beings and entities, and walking out in public, we've seen how beings and entities can jump. So we have to actually entrain these children almost with, the Jedi skills,
Yes.
um, about protecting their field, because they're targets. They've always been, but it's even more so now because we've hit that tipping point, and this planet is, light wins, love wins. So this darkness that has been ruling this planet forever, that is going out, is cutting on as many children as possible. So it is imperative and our job to protect them. Now, there are some children that you can just talk to about that. Say, you know what? There's multidimensional beings, there's all these things. We got to protect your energy field because you don't want to be a target. And then some you just can't. So you have to understand that all children are a target because of their high frequency. So your work is not to scare a child, your work is to empower them.
Mhm.
And that helps with them learning how to clear their energy, lift their energy, not respond to other energies, and giving them tools of how to vibrate super high. Um, some of those tools being, doing what they love and surrounding, getting rest, eating well. All of
Yep.
that has to do with protecting their vibration. What do you think of that stuff? The multi-layer of it all.
I would love all of it. All of it's important. Every piece of what you just said is important. And I think also to reinstate the conversation as well as for them to practice their heightened awareness and look out for each other. Let me give you an example. So, for my nephews, I haven't had this conversation with my niece. She's 4 years old. However, it's important even at that age to start having a conversation. You have to pick your words carefully. But for my nephews, so they're between 6 and 11, three of them. I've had multiple conversations talking about how when Auntie was raised in the 70s and 80s, it was different then. And we could be running around outside on our bikes, doing all this stuff, playing outside. And we didn't have as much to worry about or to be aware of as now. And so, how I described it in so many words is there's more bad people that want to hurt children right now. And I even, as a former real estate broker, I've, very familiar with Megan's Law and disclosures. And I look up in their neighborhood to see, the sex offenders. And there are a lot of them just within a couple mile radius. And so,
Yeah.
in so many words, I've had this conversation with my brother and my sister-in-law. And so my family's very aware. And these are just registered. What about
Mm,
all the ones that
mm,
are not, right? And
mhm.
so we have conversations about how to keep an eye on everyone, to look out for your brothers and sister. What happens if, someone with weird energy that you don't know is coming up to you and saying things or trying to get you in their car or anything, offering you candy. So we've gone through multiple conversations and multiple scenarios to put that into their mind so they can imagine, okay, that's what it would look like. It's not just, you've got to have that imagination for them to make it more real. And so, once again, not to come from a place of fear, because we don't want to live in that low energy. It's an empowered energy. What would you do in this situation? So, they have some touch points to go to, some guide points, right?
Mm,
And I
mhm.
think it's really important to have those conversations and not shy away from them, because there are schools now I have read about that are teaching children the actual opposite. They're teaching children, oh, strangers aren't bad. And if they come to you, you'll hurt their feelings if you say, get away from me, stranger danger, or if you don't listen to your instincts. They're actually teaching children the opposite.
I
And
know.
we
I
know we
saw
know
that.
why. We know why.
Yeah, I saw that because on the opposite end of the spectrum, they're teaching them that, but then the same breath, they're like, okay, now we're going to have an active shooter drill, and they're teaching children what to do with shooting. So it's fear based slash it's confusion, and it's getting them outside of their own power source of direct contact with source
Mhm.
where they're going to be guided. So it's alarming. It's alarming. It's the active shooter stuff is just they're normalizing it. And I'm like, well, well, I don't want to go down that tangent on this episode, but
Right. Yeah, well, we could. There's
we
so
talk
many
for
here
days about that.
that are important. But this, we go back to, you said, let's make sure we have enough hopium in this recording. So this is where if you're not a parent, but or maybe you're not even an auntie or uncle or godparent, as a friend and just as a fellow human, this is
Yes.
where we can
Thank
help
you.
step in with children and raise the vibration again. One, be friendly and smiling, be cognizant of how you're acting in public because they're watching you. Do everything that you can to lift the spirits of children, because kids have it way differently, Heidi, than you and I did when we grew up.
Yep. Yep. And that veil is so thin that they're getting attacked. a lot. And often from the people around them, just their attachments and their loosh that they don't even know they're spewing on these children. So, yeah, I know I keep circling back to the dark part of it all, but um, I just, being in LA, you go to different parts of LA with it where the frequencies are all different.
Yeah.
And you watch how how parents behave with their children or just people in public with their children. The children are looking for the bright lights. They're unaware that they're doing it. They're not sitting there going, "Oh, is this person connected to source?" They're trying to find that resonance of home.
Yes.
And if we can just be beacons of that out in society, just going about our normal day, it will be an assistance in the leveling up of the planet. You are doing good work. So it just always brings it back to the person in general. Are you taking care of yourself? Are you working on your own vibration? And it's motivation to think, I have to do this not just for myself, but for the children on the planet. And
Yes.
you have to hold yourself accountable for that too, because no one's off the hook, whether you have children or not. You're not off
Right.
the
Well, and you know what? We are in some darker times right now. I say going through the storm, we're in it. However, to remember what we're building, we're architecting and pioneering right now as the visionaries, as the educators, as the star seeds and light workers, is we don't have to wait, Heidi, to get to the end of that tunnel to start building the new earth and start creating these new systems of education and really creating the harmony that we desire. We can be doing it right now. And that's why I love your style of education. I'm so grateful for the teachers that I had growing up. Grew up in a multi-grade classroom for gifted children. And we got to play outside way more than other kids, probably 3 times more. And our teachers encouraged our high level of creativity to the place that I was generating so much as a child from a very early age. And I am grateful for that. And so now, as we are architecting the new earth, and there are new earth communities popping up all over the world, this new harmonious with Mother Nature, harmonious living with each other, all the values that we desire that we're not seeing in everyday society right now that we desire for the new earth, 5D, is we're seeing more and more development of these communities. And
Mhm.
with that, which is really great, with that comes what type of programs for their children will be created, because children are going to be raised in these communities, born and raised into these communities,
Mhm.
which is, I think, is so wonderful. And you and I have been asked prior, and this is something I wanted to share with you here on our show, is we've been asked to create a curriculum for these New Earth communities.
Mhm.
And let me know if this resonates with you. So you and I have a lot on our plate already. We're doing a lot.
But we
And
love it. We love it. We're
we love
creator
it.
beings.
We
Yeah.
cannot not create. That's who we are. And I thought, what if, Heidi? So I'm old school. I like to have a notebook for every project. I like to write my ideas and keep track of it there. What if we each get a notebook and then every day just do some brainstorming, networking, ideas, people, processes, tools, and connect even just for 10, 20 minutes, once or twice a month to talk about the curriculum ideas so we can start moving this project forward because it's
Beautiful.
real.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I have a notebook going already because I do that every day for my class now. Like last night, I
Perfect.
mean, we have what a five-day weekend at holiday on Monday, and even my husband was like, I'm in bed before going to bed, and I'm drawing like my chalkboard drawings. I'm
Mhm.
practicing, and he goes, you're not on the clock." I'm like, "The children need me." I'm like, I go, but it's a passion. I
Yes.
go, "I know I'm not. I'm choosing to do this right now because it feels good, and I want to do my best." But I love it because I showed him my little scribbly notebook, and it's just those brainstormed ideas. Oh yeah, I
Yep.
gotta hit this, I gotta hit that. And it's pretty funny because once in a while I'll reference it during the classroom, and the kids are like, "What are you looking at?" I go, "Oh, don't worry, you won't be able to read it. It's chicken scratch." And they're like, I can't even. Write beautiful cursive, and and
Right.
I'm like, "These are my middle of the night ideas." So basically, I got you, sister.
Yeah, you've
I've
got your
heard you
notepad
on
going. That's so
yeah,
great because
yeah.
that's how we move it forward. You're living it with being an educator and your very unique style, which I think is wonderful. And 2 out of 4 of my niece and nephews are homeschooling, and one of them is going to a very similar style that you're teaching right now.
Cool.
And the little one, and she loves it. And so I think this is great. And you're going to get
Yeah,
ideas, and so am I, that we can share with each other. And that's another thing, is being able to share as a community all these great ideas. Maybe you were raised with a very unique style of education and you had a special teacher growing up. And you're like, this teacher, you have a memory, did this thing, or, encouraged me this way. And it was so pivotal in my life. It changed who I was, my character. Those
mhm.
are the ideas that we want to hear.
Yeah. Yeah, and I want to circle back a minute because you had talked about, these North communities popping up. Um, not to, here I am bringing it back to the dark again, but some of those communities are being built on fear, like escaping the fear, and which I know we are doing that, but they're also teaching the children the fear part, and I do feel like it would be in our best interest to not be in denial of it, not at all. But the more you can empower your child with the good stuff first, then
Mhm,
they'll be able to navigate the stories of why they're doing that. Oh, and why they moved to where they moved, or why they're joining the community they're
mhm,
joining. Oh, because there's a lot of darkness around. I don't think you have to lead with that. there's there's entities trying to get you. But starting these new earth communities, that's why I'm so passionate about digging my heels in here in LA, because I want to dispel the myths of LA's, hell on earth and it's going into the water. I'm like, let's see what about all the children that are here?
right.
We have to put our roots in, even in the darkest of places, and bloom those new earth communities. And then you're like, hey, by the way, guess what you just traversed when they're old enough? I don't know. That's my own opinion, though. Some are not like that. Some I've seen people in our especially 2020 time and 2021, when we'd have a lot of social gatherings with a lot of like minds.
Mhm,
They were very aware their children are right by them, but they went to the darkest of places. I mean, we're even talking about sharing stories of SRA victims, and
mhm,
um, being having handlers in their family, and what they're trying to kill them and stuff. They were talking about that stuff in front of their children. So what they thought is, I'm empowering them with the truth out there. It was in fact starting to dim this child's light, because they wanted to just fit in the norm. Then they don't want to feel special. They don't want to feel like a target. So you got to be mindful too of how you're speaking and who you're speaking around. And the more we can focus on being the solution, that will be your path. I think it would be right laid out in front of you. The more you think solution based living,
mhm.
if that makes any sense. A few tangents there.
It does, and I think that's how you and I are both wired. Say wired for harmony, wired for right.
Yeah.
What is the most harmonious way to live and to be of service, whether you're a parent or not? And there's some great memes going around that I've seen that show like a person with a shield, and they have the shield with like hundreds of arrows hitting it in front of a child, and it says something like, let me see if I wrote this down.
I love that one. Yeah.
Protect all children, especially when they're not yours, right?
Ooh, I like that with it. I haven't
Mhm.
seen it with that on it.
I'm
Yep.
not aware of those New Earth communities that teach fear. The ones that I'm aligned with are um, I resonate 100% because they're focused on not not living in fear, but also not shying away from the reality of it. It's just like a very balanced way,
Right.
thoughtful way to
Yeah.
address it. And you were talking about children listening. This goes back to, you and I are both fans of Dr. Bruce Lipton and Joe Dispenza. They talk about the baby at 15 weeks hears everything that's happening inside their mother and outside in that environment. And it made me start thinking like women can start, and parents, parental unit, or if it's just them by themselves or the family around, a baby is listening and perceiving already. So we can start from the very beginning, not just the woman eating the right things and doing all, the right things physically, but the physiological approach too is that baby's going to know, am I wanted or not? With if there was anger on the outside happening with the parents, right? And giving children the best start begins, you know, at conception. So
Mhm,
it's
mhm,
just so powerful. And then there's less transmutation of all the ugly things that happen outside when the baby's born. If we can
mhm.
give them a really great start. I'm thinking all the children coming in that are going to be in these different, very uplifting and conscious communities. That's exciting.
Mm. Yeah, what do? They put little headphones on their bellies and play, like, classical music. What if it's, like, binaural beats and, like, like,
Meditation music, guided
meditation?
meditations.
Yeah. That's pretty amazing. Yeah, the dark new age, I guess what I was thinking of specifically, and I know a couple online that I've seen, it's the ones that go off grid and armor up and grow their own, which is what we like, but they're saying it. We're doing it because they're coming for us.
Oh, yeah.
That kind of stuff where I'm like,
Mhm.
or you could just say we need to know these skills for, our own human race survival, not that they're coming for us and
Right.
lock down the gates and, that kind of stuff where I'm like, oof. I know that's going to be poo-pooed because people be like, but they are. Um, I guess it's the mindset, you know,
Yeah,
and
there's nothing wrong with children being as capable as possible from an early age. I think that's great. Like I've lived abroad, I've lived in Asia, and I've seen the village raising the children. It's a very different dynamic, and the children have jobs. They have to jump right in. Sometimes I've been in remote villages in Vietnam, way up in the Sapa hillsides, and I have lived with amongst their people and stayed with them, and there's a 2-year-old with a baby strapped on its back. I mean, they have jobs to do, and they are wired to look out for each other and very close knit. And I think that's great that that type of look out for your siblings, look out for the village. Everyone's got a chore, a job to do. Where I am right now, and in Wisconsin, there's a lot of Amish communities, and I've gone into the Amish communities to research how they live because I like a lot of their aspects and values. And those little children, from the time they can walk, Heidi, they have jobs to do. And they're productive and they like it and they're highly intelligent and they're outdoors. And these little kids grow up to be extremely capable um, adults. And I really like that. I had my eldest nephew over. I get to do a special day with all my nephews and they like to sleep over. And so make them feel special and give them, different activities and just have a really good one-on-one connection. And so he got to learn how to drive the riding lawnmower and he was so excited about that. And it's just, out of an acre and a half property here. He just thought that was the greatest thing ever, and being
ah,
able to take an axe and go chop wood and things like that. And to get them in all these different points of stimulation to feel capable and, even if they live in the city somewhere, to give
mhm,
children, well, a taste of the countryside, but also you have green spaces and giving them a chance to find all these different aspects to feel empowered and to feel good about themselves and capable because children require um, a high amount of stimulation. And so what we see with kiddos, especially the ones that are, glued to the screen all the time and that are not outdoors or not doing, is that I sense that they're not expanding their gray matter the way they could with all these different outdoor activities and ways to teach them how to be productive, whether it's indoors or outdoors. You and I are both fan of outdoor teaching methods, and so giving children that opportunity as adults, being creative with ways to help stimulate their growth.
mm. Well, that screen, it's weaponized. So,
Mhm.
I mean, there's more fear, I guess, but That's why it was intended to be given to children so young, is to weaponize and to distract and to desensitize and all those things. So the more they can be out and learn these new skills, that sounds like child labor. Why are they raking at 4 years old? But they're I've witnessed it. There comes this feeling of accomplishment when a
Mhm.
task is completed and when they learn a skill is unlike no other. So there's your huge bump in the Schumann. Like their frequency just goes because they have accomplished something. Last week we built a sukkah. We're not a religious place or anything, but I had told the story of survive. I go, what if you all were at the beach and it was one of our valley days of 110, but what if you had nowhere to go? You stayed on that beach for 40 years, like Romy, could you survive?
Mm.
But if you are in gratitude and you are asking for assistance, you are welcoming in all that the earth has to offer for you to survive that moment. A simple shelter, some food, and company you keep is enough. And so we went into this whole thing of simplicity is enough, and we wound up building this shelter just using what we could find on campus. And the teamwork that was involved, the feeling of accomplishment after was so high. It was the coolest thing ever. That thing is still up. It was going to be taken down soon after. I'm like, we got to enjoy this accomplishment. We even feasted in it, and with all a bounty of the harvest that was offered to us right now in LA, which is some citrus, and of course the apples are full bloom. So we just enjoyed what's alive right now and offered. But it was about gratitude. And as much as I was sharing the message of the moment to them, it was them using their physical hands together to accomplish a task and then enjoy it after together. And
Mhm.
yeah, that feeling of accomplishment is like none other. And that starts with very early childhood too. Even babies. It
Mhm.
starts with babies when they can grab their feet for the first time, when
Mhm.
they smile back and get a reaction from you with their smile. All is about empowerment and accomplishment. And
Mhm.
that will keep their frequency just buzzing.
Yep. And
Aw,
also all everything that you just said, Heidi, in addition to feeling loved, to
yeah.
infuse love in everything that we do for ourselves, because it starts with self and being leaders of self. So we're the example for children as well, is giving love in everything that they do, even you know, if they completely mess up or they don't do a great job or they so and so fail at something, to give them love and reinforcement and encouragement to keep trying. I'll give you an example. My 11-year-old nephew, who I just spoke of, he was one of those outgoing kids that wanted to be friends with anyone. And he would go up to kids in a park or wherever in public and say, "Hi, I'm Gabriel. Can I be your friend? You want to be friends with me?" Just get in there like a cute little puppy. "Hi, I want to be your friend. I want to be." And he would ask just about any child he'd come encounter with. And so many of these kids, you could just tell, like from their environment or their parenting, the kids would say, "No, I don't want to be your friend." And I was wondering as I watched this occur, is he going to feel dejected or rejected to a place where this is going to affect him and he's going to stop being this extrovert, bright light and stop asking children to be his friend? And it never phased him. He just kept going, right? And what a great example, because a lot of kids, they might feel, okay, I'm too scared to do it now, or I've been rejected too many times. They take it inwardly. I'm not worthy. People don't like me, right? However, to encourage him, I say, Gabriel, that's great that you want to be so friendly to everybody. It's okay if some kids don't want to be your friends. Just keep asking. That's what you love to do. You love to play. And what an example for us adults, that we'll give up a lot of times after we get rejected or turned down, or, we have a minor failure or even a big failure at something. And then now we're back in our comfort zone. We're not expanding, we're closed. And to see children as an example, we can learn from them. We can learn so much from them. And I
Yeah.
love seeing that when, for example, like my nephew, his bright light not being, dimmed at all from all the, the environmental, rejection, if you will. And he just keeps going for it. And what a great way for us to take a lesson from a child.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I'd be curious to see what his human design is. He's just like either generator like or manifesting generator. He just like power through, keep
Mhm.
going, find the others. Some of these kids, are very well aware of why they're here in a
Mhm.
way, and I know that depends a lot upon their parents when they come through. I have I'm thinking in particular of a girl in my class right now. She keeps coming through, so I guess I should share. But her mom is and dad are very aware of the world today and off planet as well. And we follow similar people online and things like that. And they are much older. They were gifted her when they were almost in their 50s, so now they're in
Mm.
their 60s, and this girl is 9. And but they said, oh, this is her first life here, but she has a mission, and she is here to assist her friends, and it's about the children her age, and you'll see her gravitate towards everybody, especially if someone's vibe is low or they're having a hard time. She's in there to
Yes.
assist them, and I watch her and she does it innately. She just knows,
Mhm.
I am here to assist no matter the situation, no matter if a friend pushes her away. She'll come the other way and offer water, and like she is out here doing her mission, and she stepped into it at birth. And there are some children out there doing the work of 10 adults right now. It's,
Mhm.
it's so beautiful to watch. And then you have those that, like, well, these are not topics I can really talk about with their family, or they'll think, throw me in the loony bin or whatever, but you still do the work. You
Right.
still protect the child, you still observe, you still guide, and you still allow. It's all about energy. It's all about frequency and energy. So if you can be in tune and watch things, you can assist by balancing it out. And, that was another tangent thing. See, this is what happens early in the mornings, Amie.
Well,
We have
we're
a
on
time.
such a meaty, potent topic or theme right now. There's all these sub themes that are coming up as well. I
Yeah.
wrote a list of bullet points here just because I didn't want to forget looking at this, and we've hardly touched on any of these so far.
Well,
Oh,
pick
I did want to.
something.
I see one of these right here. We're talking about enhancing children's gifts. So this girl came in and she knows her mission, which is great. Some children might be aware of theirs, or they're just stepping into it. They're learning as they go. Like it's coming with layers and time. And I saw one of our mutual friends here on Facebook, and she teaches these animal spirit guide classes for like 8-year old to teens. And I thought, that's awesome right there to see, right? For kids to start tapping into their own metaphysical powers and to learn maybe about their cosmic origin, if their parents are open to that, to learn who they were, what their mission is now. And to see more and more of that offered is very exciting.
I love that. Yeah, that's why our Wednesdays, half our day is called Farm Garden Day. And I quote it because we have not been assigned yet a local farm to go attend, but our facility bellies up to a farm. So we just go up to the fence and have moments with the animals. It's so important to pay, and gardening,
Mhm.
because we are bringing things to life. So we are around two different life forms, the plant life and the animal kingdom, and watching how these children connect. I mean, the parent or adults could learn so much just by observing a child for half hour.
Yes.
It's you learn the basic roots of humanity when you really watch an innocent child engage in life, and not be attached to a screen. And so it's fascinating, but having that as part of the curriculum is imperative, especially at that 9-year change, when it's huge for Steiner, this 9 year, because which is around third grade, because the children are leaving the fairy tale land of people doing things for them and making sure everything's provided for them, to see, oh, I'm just this bit in this massive universe. And they start realizing about mortality and, how things can shift in an instant. So they themselves become a little more fear based. They start realizing, oh, I really am responsible for a lot of things. So it's such a fragile age, a very important age to protect. And that's why I'm really, it's such an honor to be in that position. But you're watching a children start the year with not so like la la la, there's my friends. It's just like I'm this person and you're separate from me and
Mhm.
I have a job to do. So bringing in the animals and
Mhm.
bringing in plant life and bringing in something that they can see with their own hands, they're helping and they're getting results from, that's huge. That's a big educational step. And that can be done anywhere at any time. This isn't
It
like just at a
can.
school. Yeah.
Right, and it doesn't have to even be out in the countryside. Like, I'm out in the countryside. There are green spaces, there's parks, there's national parks, there's large bodies of water. There's all these wonderful places that kids can go, whether it's, in a school environment or with their family, even with friends, to have that hands-on experience. And your age group that you teach, I think, is such a great age group. I loved my teacher in the third, fourth grade, that region. Kids are sponges. I mean, literally, if you've dissected the neurology of children at that age, which I know you have, I mean, that's why it's so important for us as the guardians, tying it back, to be living examples for them, because we're
Mhm.
all teachers. We're all teachers and we're all students of each other. But that age group is absorbing us, absorbing our energy. They're learning from us, and their minds work really fast and they're just sponging off of us. So when you say it's important for children to, enjoy the animal kingdom and the plant kingdom and to be outside, being capable with their hands and then putting good things into their body, right? Being able to harvest fruits and vegetables. I think that's key. It seems so simple, but it's massive,
Mhm. Mhm.
I'm so happy that my niece and nephews are planting now. And since they could barely walk, I would take them out to my cousin's farm down the road. They could barely walk down the fields and they're already picking fruits and vegetables,
That's
and
beautiful.
learning how to train their taste buds into wanting organic, natural fruits and vegetables as well, because that's a whole other topic right there, is the predatory system of food, and the products that are out there are predatory,
Yes.
full of fat and toxins and sugar. And
So,
so,
mhm.
go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say maybe we should cover a few of those. We know that television and screens weaponized, our food's weaponized, the environment can be weaponized, and adults get weaponized with the content they see. So you're seeing how these areas, it's not only coming at you to lower your vibration, but it's coming for the kids.
Yes.
And something as simple as just introducing clean food when they're young is educational. That's going to teach them to spot the difference. And you can do that anywhere. You can do that in the city, you can do that
Mhm,
anywhere. So it does start with having a conscious adult to know, oh, or to have access to these things.
mhm.
So that's why it's all hands on deck with this stuff. It's all hands on deck with being a guardian. But I guess that's me pivoting into the dark again. Like, what else is coming for them?
I mean, we could spend a whole recording just on the darkness too, and I
I
want to
know.
find that balance as well,
Yeah.
because yeah, when it
Nope.
comes to food, well, we talk about, I've said this in prior shows, maybe it was the last one, Adventures in Awakening Part 1, how from conception we are being poisoned, especially in North America. I mean, it's the worst here than anywhere
Yeah.
else.
Yep, in
And
utero. They
and
start in
in
utero.
utero. So
Mhm,
now it's coming, and not only is the environment, so if that's a happy, loving environment or not, the baby's picking up on that. That's affecting them, as well as the food, water, soil, chemtrails, everything, even the hygiene products, what we put on our skin, on our hair. And um, I'm happy to see a lot of conscious parenting out there, but there's a lot of not conscious, unconscious parenting being done as well. And there are horrible toxic products in people's homes, and that are easy to spot. Maybe this should be another show topic, but
mhm.
that, especially as these precious children, from when when they emerge into this world, to give them the best products possible, the best food and water possible, to set them up for success, because there's just so many predatory products and content and everything out there, meant to poison their bodies and their minds.
Yeah. Well, that brings it back to keeping it simple. The simplicity is really where the answers are. Simplicity in how we groom ourselves, what we eat. What is my buddy Lawrence August, he's talking about the basic food groups and how grocery stores, it's kind of a sham. It's the same
Yeah.
core ingredients, just done different ways in a million different products. He goes, but what's your protein? What's your carb sort? Like the basics, the basic simplicity of shelter, clothing, food, the home life, bringing it back to those roots
Mhm.
is probably key to educating a lot of children and adults.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
see that
Yeah.
trend happening. I see that trend happening online. A lot of people returning to what the grandparents and the grandparents used to do, the canning and the natural remedies and all of that. And I think that's wonderful.
Yeah, we have canning coming up. This is our block of to learn math. We're doing time, like calendars and seasons and old school stuff. We're going to make a big sundial and relying on the sun in that sense. And then, but the canning and the harvesting, it's our
Mhm.
harvest month. How can we preserve our food? And it's, of course, food coming from its purest natural source.
Yep.
These kids explore food more than me because I've been programmed for so long. I'm still unraveling, but they're eager to try new things. They're eager to see, what is this? What does it smell like? What does it taste like? All their senses are popping off. It's pretty awesome.
I love watching that. It's in its purest form, their curiosity and their excitement. And that's an example. I say us as the guardians need to be an example, but they're being an example to us too.
Mhm. And let's say because there is huge generations and huge amount of the population that are already poisoned and the lights are off. I think it's huge and big to share that they can come back on,
Mhm.
that it all can be reversed. If you don't have a parent that's helping them brighten up the light, they will run into somebody that will assist them, but it can be reversed. They can learn down the road if they're not having these experiences and having educators that are here to assist at a young age. I do feel like you don't lose hope in them. Basically, you don't lose hope in anyone. There's always the power to recover and awaken. We all
Mhm.
have a chance to awaken in our own time. So the more of us that can be aware of these things and protect as young as possible, if that's going to be normalized and that's going to get bigger, there's going to be way more people like me out there educating kids
Oh,
than there
yes.
were 20 years ago. So it's patience. It's watching this roll out is um, you got to have a lot of patience.
Well, we do what we can now. We can be the best examples. We can live our lives in service to humanity, and each of us do our part wherever our gifts lie. And I think that's important for people to recognize where their gifts lie and to wake up and, whatever higher power you believe in or pray to, fill in the blank, ask that higher power to use you in service and to use your gifts every day.
Yeah. Well, check out your bullet points. What else you got on there? I know we're hitting an hour, but I would like to hit a couple more things with you if you have time. Because
Okay, let's see.
I'm just curious if there's something really imperative that you're like, oh, I really wanted to hit that.
Well, I will say this, it slightly, so it's balanced. It slightly takes us down to the darker, heavier side, and that's the movie Sound of Freedom.
Oh,
Are
yes.
you open to talking about that?
Sure.
Okay. I knew about this film for quite a while, and I think you did too, before it was able to finally come to light and be, released to the public. And I made sure that had the very first showing and that I was going to see it on the very first day it came out. And I did a lot of pre-promotion for it, inspired as many people to go see it. And I did a live stream at the theater. And so this got picked up and I somehow got picked up into the Stand of Freedom Angel Studios, a lot of their posts as well. And I was really happy because like two things happened at that time. Even though the film, which was really well done, didn't go, it was just barely the tip of the iceberg, as you know,
Hmm.
barely tip of the iceberg. At least it was an appetizer to a much larger main course, which all of humanity, if you plan to move on to the next level and graduate and ascend, you're going to have to bear witness to what has been happening here on our planet beneath our feet, right?
Mhm.
And it requires that, and it's heartbreaking, and it's deep, and there's a dark night of the soul coming for everyone who will realize what has been going on. We must protect the children. And so this film was a really great door opening to that world. But what happened was twofold. So I was promoting it and loving this film and getting information out there, and it inspired a lot of people, and a lot of folks I don't even know reached out to me, and they went to see the film. And so it started this ripple effect in a good way, Heidi.
Mhm.
Also, the opposite happened across multiple platforms of mine. I got hit by bot farms, and I had messages, just horrible messages from people saying like all the bad things they wanted to do to me in detail because I was promoting this film and
Yeesh.
shining a light on pedophilia and SRA and all of that. Okay. And
Mm.
so that's why I said at the beginning of our show, it's important to use your voice and be courageous despite how you're getting hit by the trolls, whether it's a real person or a bot farm, or because that darkness does need a light to be shined on it. And we cannot be scared and contract and be small in this just because of our own fear or getting attacked privately or publicly. We all need to stand up.
Yeah.
And so I think this is just the beginning of what we're going to see more and more of this coming to light. And I have run into friends and family that are like this when it comes to anything in this genre or topic, if you will. La la la.
Yep.
I don't
Yep.
want to see it. I don't want to hear it. No, no, no. And I think
Yep.
you have to.
Yeah.
It is selfish and ignorant. You can use those
Yeah.
words to hide under a rock, to plant your head in the sand when you know what's happening to children around the world.
Mm.
Or if you have even an inkling, and it is really hard to fathom the amount of evil that we're dealing with.
Mhm.
And it's heartbreaking.
I think society has done a really good job of multiplying the ways we can numb ourselves and desensitize ourselves. So when people get in contact with something like this and those feelings come in them of like, you get sick to your stomach, really. It's
Mhm.
a subject that makes you want to throw up.
Yeah,
So
and I
when
have
that
grown up.
yeah. So
Mhm.
when they get triggered and stirred, they're like, no, 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 I need to feel good. I need to feel good. Back to TikTok, or something. They can't handle it and they can't sit with those awful feelings because children are, you think of anything done to a child, it's nauseating. That's the whole other level of awakening of it takes older generations and societies to get lean into those feelings.
Mhm.
Why does it make you nauseous? Oh, if it was me or if it was my child, right? But it's happening.
Yes.
So lean into it, process that, and push it through. And then now, what can you do about it? You
Mhm.
can protect these children as much as possible. And that doesn't mean running into a room where there's tons of strangers and being like, I covered my child. It's
Right.
empowering them, it's making them vibe so high that they have direct contact with source and they can navigate these mass weapons of evil people and all psh, sorry, my morning tangents went off again, but
No, you're perfect.
it triggered me because yeah, that's when family members and even oh my goodness, one of our closest friends out here, like the ultimate granola family in Ojai you can think of, and they were in touch. They're friends with this guy Miraji, and like they're all meditate all this. But when I started championing in like 2016, 17 about trafficking and pedophilia and this Ojai family, one of the members I used to date, and he told me in confidence as we were dating that he was abused by his uncle, his rich uncle. And I knew this history and it made me angry, and it made me champion this even more. And as soon as I started doing it online, they all cut me out of their life. And
Yeah.
I'm like, that's a family that's aware of it. And they're just doing this. No, 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 no,
Yep.
no. It happened to us. And yet, meanwhile, he's suffering and he's still
Mhm.
suffering. He's traveling the world as a nomad with just no connection to humanity. Um, that big tangent, but I had to think of them because it's the family that you'd think they'd be like, oh goodness, compassion. We are so about the world's frequency and we do all the work. But when it comes to pedophilia, it's in our family lineage. We see nothing, we hear nothing, we don't want to talk about it. I'm like,
Mhm.
that's not helping. You can on the surface look like an incredible family, but if you are not addressing these situations, especially ones that hit in your home, um, that's a problem. So
Yep. And
I
that's why
just
we
started
talk
speaking.
about dark night of the soul. I think we've said that in every single show we've done about how important it is for souls to go there and to experience that, because you don't heal and move on to the good stuff until you go through the dark night. And that means bearing witness. That means looking in the mirror. A lot of people don't want to look in the mirror. They don't want to poke into maybe some things that they have pushed down into the past and repressed from their memory. And it's I don't believe in living there as in an energy, living in grief or shame or guilt, some of those lower energies, but you need to feel them and acknowledge till you can release them. And so there's a
Mhm.
lot of repression happening from that, being hid in the basement or in the closet or whatever you call, from a metaphor. And I think it's important for people to, if you show them that you can have a beautiful life where you are in harmony with those, that you want to surround yourself with, that you're healthy, mind, body, spirit, dangle that carrot, if you will. That is what
Mhm.
we all are moving toward, raising our consciousness. We get there by addressing the dark things as well and not trying to repress them.
Mhm.
Being
Mhm.
able to a healthy release of them on that. And that's a good thing to teach children from an early age too. There's ways to deal, for instance, with anger, and it's not going out and hitting other kids or hitting your animal, or, even yelling once in a while has its purpose too. I go out and yell in the cornfields if I need to release
Yeah.
something,
Oh
have
yeah,
to cry.
yeah, I might go scream in a pillow.
Mhm.
Get it out.
Get
Yep,
it
get it
out,
out. Mhm.
and then
Mm.
it's out, and then you can move
Yeah.
on to the good stuff.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, if anything, I think you and I both can share in this now moment with those that are feel uncomfortable when those feelings hit is that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. It will pass.
Mhm.
It will pass, but it will always be there and it will always trigger you if you don't lean into it and address it. You have to like get in there and let it like dissipate and pass so that every time you do approach that hot topic again, you won't get that continued nauseous feeling. You'll
Right.
start to feel like, okay, I'm feeling stronger now. Now I can do something about it.
Yep.
But if it does make you nauseous, if it does make you go, I don't want to know, I don't want to know, good, because you're human and you're feeling something. um, but lean into it and have your right pals around or
Yes.
an outlet where you can cry to or scream to or have the tools to move through it and then empower yourself to do something about it, whether
Right.
it's sharing, whether it's being observant, whether it's going, okay, I know this is going on and now I just heard this news story, uh-oh, I think they're related. You'll become your own little news source, your own.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And you said something, well, everything you said, I agree with, Heidi. You said have the right pals around you. So people having community is really going to help them move through things, because the thing is, like, we don't know what's going on in someone's head, what they've experienced in their past, until we have this, very compassionate and vulnerable way of sharing with each other, that we've all been through things. We've all had hurts and traumas. And if we can share in a loving, compassionate way, in a safe way, and then we can grow together or lean on each other. You say lean into it, which is key. So it doesn't have that same charge anymore, that trigger. But then we can also lean on each other. And that's part of the healing process.
And that's okay if it's online too.
Mhm.
Like for the longest time, my only communities I could lean on until I found them in my 3D were online, and that's okay. That's you can still have that energy exchange and find group, find common ground. That's where there is a beauty of social media and stuff. But we know all the harm stuff, but there is some good to it too.
Mhm.
I'm just
Absolutely.
I'm so sorry you have been attacked relentlessly since I've known you really. And then, but when you get to know your content, it is simple and it's pure and it's empowering. So I'm like, well, the empowerment, that's a threat to these
Oh,
dark
yes.
forces. So yeah, I know why you've stepped in this mission because you're a tough cookie. Yeah. So I'm I'm just grateful that you've powered through and it hasn't weakened you where you give up.
Right.
So
Thank you.
I'm so
Oh,
thankful to you for that. Mhm.
I'm so glad you just said that. Thank you. And I received that. I received all kinds of, I'll say, challenges for a purpose from a very early age. Like I had the haters since like age 5 or 6 because I was a
Oh,
very bright light, very public on stage performing, and a creator by the time I was, very young. And I didn't really come from any place of fear. I was a courageous little child. And I think that that type of bright light, either it can attract some people who don't feel good about themselves, low self-esteem, or they want to conquer it and squash those
mm,
bright lights. I it did not stop me, Heidi, from shining my light and continuing to create. And over time, I did recognize this in the last year. So I'll share this with people who may have experienced haters or people who wanted to conquer them. Our indomitable spirit that we came here on a mission. And we know that. And there was a bit of a chip on my shoulder that I have carried through my whole life until the last year. And that chip or trigger was no matter what I create, no matter how bright I shine my light, people are going to try to conquer me and they hate me for what I am.
mm.
And so that little bit of chip has come off. I've released that to a place where I recognize and I don't have that same um, trigger or charge anymore, where I know I'm here on purpose doing my mission and being the best that I can. And even if others don't understand it, that's okay. And they may react in hateful ways, angry ways, or even just project their own lack of self esteem or whatever it is onto me. I don't have to have any type of negative program running in my mind anymore. I can be completely at peace with myself and just continue. And then also find and connect with those other bright lights, the star seeds, the light workers. And what I sense, and I know this has been happening for you too, is in these days, we're getting in our path of mastery, emotional mastery, we're getting tested more and more. So, where are those existing soft spots or sore spots and triggers that we have not completely released and resolved yet? So, isn't that a nice thing when you can look at it from that way and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, I thank this so and so person or scenario or even hater because now this has shown me what I still need to release and to get squeaky clean within self.
Oh,
And
yeah.
right?
Mhm. Why I can do that now, but as far as being squashed or having my light trampled on or being tested by some major life events throughout my life, I had many down times where I just went, "That's it," and I shut down. But the fact is I came back up. I pulled my
Mhm.
bootstraps up and I got out of it myself. So that's scary as heck to a lot of darkness out there because if I can come through those waves of toxicities and come out brighter than
Mhm.
before, then it's like, look out. And now I'm teaching kids how to do it. So really look out. Let's see if this even uploads.
We need to get
The
messages like
scanner.
this out there. And I love who you are and love your mission and support you and people like you and what your mission here on planet Earth is.
Thank you. And I the same with you. Your content takes my breath away and your delivery of it all is empowering for all ages. So it's really cool. Hey, that's a good little segue. Just a reminder for peeps, adventureswithamie.com. Let me get it up here.
Yeah. And that website's growing nearly by the day. There's all different points of content. So it's something for everybody, whether you're excited to travel the world yourself, have adventures and explore culture, food, scenery, Mother Nature, or you want to take a vicarious armchair travel. There it is amazing videos, blogs, photo galleries, and I have several series. Do you mind if I share that real quick? I have
No,
several
please.
series in the works right now. So as we know, foodie, the travel version, as well as farm to table. Farm to table is great for kids because it's inspiring them to grow and store their own food and to appreciate all the different ways that they can cook and enjoy what they grow, the fruits of their labor, literally and figuratively. And so that one's coming to an end, Heidi.
Is it?
Yeah, we've got a
Oh,
couple more episodes, and that beautiful series is finishing. So it's going to end around, I think, 30 to 32 videos in the series, which is great. Just on the
bravo.
foodie farm to table. That was an idea that was inspired. I love inspiring people to eat, eat healthy, and also the empowerment and the joy that it comes from growing your own food and teaching children to do the same. And obviously, from like a sustainability and prepping point of view, it's great to have plenty in abundance for yourself and others if you ever needed to share that, right? Then I have the metaphysical series, which is playing with energy, more coming out on that series. That's a lot of fun. And I have the hero's journey, Joseph Campbell inspired. Now that one's taken a little backseat for now, so hold on for more episodes. The prologue will come first. And then it's taken a backseat, as you know, to the documentary film that I'm currently in development of. Unshod is the name of it. To live a barefoot lifestyle. What's that like to go everywhere in your life without shoes on? And to commune
Wow.
with Mother Nature and to spend many hours a day, at minimum 30, but for me, it's turned more into like 2 plus, even 4 hours a day outside, earthing and grounding and feeling all that beautiful energy and power and what it's done for me and the results in my life. So it started off as an experiment and it's turned into a lifestyle. And so stay tuned on that film. All of these are geared toward and intended to uplift the human spirit, and not only to inspire someone to learn something new and grow, but to put it into action and take this into your life and practice it yourself. So there's so many benefits that I've discovered from all these different themes that I'm creating using film. And they're there to help people experience that type of joy and better health and ultimately a higher consciousness themselves.
Mm, beautiful.
There's
Amie kicking butt out there.
so much to create, Heidi. It's wonderful.
And you've never given up. That's just that's the ultimate, I think, guardian lesson. You are legendary in that sense. You've never given up, no matter the censorship, no matter the haters, no matter the bots. You are still championing, powering through, and you're weakening the darkness with every step.
Yes.
So I thank you for that. And I thank you for holding that geo point in the Midwest right now. I know you might be migrating south for the winter, but
Correct. That is in the works.
yes.
As you know, I love this lifestyle of grounding and earthing every day, barefoot. It's very empowering and it's been tremendous for my own health physiologically, which stay tuned to learn more about in the film. However, we've got very cold weather. It went from 85 down to lows now it was 30, wind chill of 30. Now, knowing that I'm a wimp to cold weather, and I'll admit that, I love hot, humid weather. That's why I love the jungles of Southeast Asia so much, because that's how my body is designed to thrive in hot, humid weather. So now, as I am choosing to stay stateside just for a little bit longer, I will be, I guess, searching for a temporary home base in a warmer state, probably in the Florida region.
Okay. So you hear
Mm-hmm.
that, peeps? My Florida pals out there. Keep your eyes open for a wonderful little nest for good pal Amy. Well, I wish you wonderful well on your journal. How should we close it up here? Do you have any other points you really want to hit that we didn't get to tap on? I know we already have a few subheaders, so I think we're going to have to keep our little series going.
Yeah, you know what? I want to touch on again. This is a really great way to to conclude our beautiful topic, our beautiful recording today, is that when we are leaders of self, which means we are authentic in who we are showing up as, we're being ourselves, and that means to truly accept, trust, and love yourself. That example publicly is what the children are going to be picking up on. And I think as a guardian and as a public example to all children, the village of planet Earth, right? In oneness, that's the best thing that you can do for yourself and for others is to work on yourself and to love yourself.
Yes, That's it. And I may share highlights of my life online here, but I'm still human and I'm going through my own human experience. So when I have that raw moment, I had one this weekend where I was snappy, I was stressed, I was tired, I was going through my things, and the children pick up on that. But what doesn't often happen in other homes that happens in mine is I humble myself. I
Mm,
tell them, I'm going through a rough time right now. I am not, my words are coming out in a tone. It's not about you. This is what I'm going through. And you can see them go, "Oh, okay." And it's empowering for them to know that this isn't me doing this. This is her needing to go through. And then they protect me in my space.
mm,
So it's okay to stumble. It's okay to have that human experience. That's what we're having. We're bringing in all this star knowledge to our human experience and sharing and uplifting humanity. So there's going to be bumps, there's going to be pivots, but gracing yourself, forgiving yourself, those are all high vibe. That's all high frequency ways to be. Sitting in the low of it all and like, oh, I keep getting attacked and or duh, stupid me or like you're going low now. Grace yourself and just get back on the saddle and get back up there again and be authentic with a child.
mhm.
I'm just having a bad day. I know you've had a bad day too before, right? What do you do about that? How do you think I can help myself? Empowerment, empowering the child and empower yourself by being authentic. I think
Yes,
that's a nice little
perfectly
buzz.
put.
Well, thank you so much, Miss Amie. I'm so grateful we got to get this. We're going to get this in the can, and should we be inspired? Let's move forward with this. I so enjoy talking with you. Before we do go, though, I have to ask you: is this the photo you had last time? Your background, is this Thailand?
Yes, this is James Bond Island in Thailand,
That's
a
it.
place I have been to. It's gorgeous, and I just kept it as my background because it's so peaceful. And we're both lovers of Mother Nature, so I thought, I'll keep the Thai background.
It's beautiful. And you have the mountains surrounding you, protecting you through this ride of guardianship. So thank you for all that you are and do. I mean, I keep extending this because I feel like there's so much more to say about being a guardian, but I think hit us up, peeps. Let us know what you think.
Yes,
Please hit that like and subscribe. We are doing this selflessly and out of our own compassion for humanity. So it would be an honor if you would share this and let this broadcast to others. We're all in this together. But there you go, adventureswithamie.com, and we'll catch you soon on the next one. Okay.
thanks,
Thank you,
Heidi.
Amy. Thank you. Bye, everybody.